welcome to Showcase of Churches. You know, there's such a variety of churches in our area, so I decided to feature some of them on my show, Showcase of Churches. Today my guest is Rebecca Shevchek, and she is from Country Gospel Sing in Vancouver. Also, it can be called as Cowboy Church. Now, there are a number of these different cowboy churches located in both Oregon and Washington. There's one in Battleground. Their location is in Vancouver. And so if you like that type of music and performers, this is something you might like to do. So Rebecca, thank you for coming today.
My pleasure.
All right. Can you tell me a little bit about the history of your country gospel sing?
Yes, we began back in around 2006, and that was after my brother and I had been at other events in the county that provide country music and country gospel music, and we had attended those and sang at those. And after doing that for a number of years, we decided, or my brother decided, that he'd like to start one at our church, which is Fourth Plain Church of the Nazarene. And with the approval of our pastor, which was Lyle Koblenz at that time, we started that, and it's been going ever since.
Well, that's wonderful. So it started with the title of Country Gospel Sing?
Right.
Okay. But I want to make sure people know they can also Google Country Cowboy Church, and they will find it in either place. And at the end of the show, we will post an information page. Give you about a minute to copy down the information, when they meet, how you contact someone, and all that. All right. Did you have an immediate crowd when you decided to start this, or take a long time to build up, or what happened?
It quickly took off because the places that we had sung at before, we were able to spread the word there, and a lot of the same people would come over to ours since it was on a different night, and then word of mouth, and then we had a big sign. We have currently a big sign on the street of Fourth Plain in Vancouver by the church that advertises it every month.
Good, good. And so what kind of a crowd do you draw? Any particular age group, ethnic group, anything?
Yeah, it's a lot of people that enjoy country music, and a lot of the senior citizen crowd. And we do attract some of the younger people too. So it just gives a really nice place for seniors to come out for their social night and fellowship once a month. And some people come from retirement homes and they're bussed in.
Wow.
And we also have a wheelchair ramp if anyone needs that on the east side of the church.
Well, that's wonderful. And I think especially not just seniors or people in nursing homes, but a lot of people have been shut in due to COVID. So this might be a great opportunity to get out. I think you meet just once a month, right?
Right.
Okay. And we'll talk about that later more, you know, how you can find out when they meet, where they meet, and all that. Okay. But now besides seniors, I thought you told me earlier, maybe you had families do a performance, or even children playing. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, we've had large families actually that are musical come in with varying ages, from little tots up to teens and adults. And it's always fun to see the young people perform. We've had little guys that didn't play an instrument yet, but they just stood up there with their family, kind of getting used to being on stage and smiling at everybody. So,
well, that's great. That's a good skill.
yeah.
Well, and then what kind of instruments did some of the kids play? I thought you told me they played kind of different things. I would think just guitar maybe, but you said mandolins or violins or things?
Ukulele, mandolin, guitars, violin. We had one little girl, she was only 10, and she could play so well, and she played with our house band violinist, and they really had fun together.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Now, I know Riney Horst. He actually produces a show through here, but I understand he's been, and been a guest. What are some other people that you've had that people might be familiar with?
Well, we had a group called the Wright Family, and they were from Washington State, and I guess since then they've gone up to Tennessee. And we've had a group called Salzer Creek, and then we've had Jerry Ott, and I think he's pretty well known around this area. He does quite a a neat little Grandpa McCoy impersonation in one of his
Great.
songs.
Great.
And then we've had my granddaughters on there who are very talented. They write their own songs and sing.
Wow.
And then a guy named Robbie Mayer was one of our guests, and he did kind of a country rock.
Oh, wow. Okay. So is your music kind of most just country western? You stick to that pretty much?
Predominantly bluegrass and folk, country folk, and sometimes I sneak a little contemporary in there.
Okay. All right. Okay. Good. Good. All right. Now, if somebody wants to participate, how would they go about that?
Well, they would need to contact my brother, Larry Ludahl, and his phone number is 360-254-0628. And the requirements are that that you're gifted in the area of singing or playing an instrument. And we try not to have it be like a karaoke night, but just more on the professional level. And let's see, then if you want to get in on our practice, it's the last Tuesday before our first Friday.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good to know. And I can respect the fact that you want people that are more professionally geared. It's not a place to try out your skills
Right.
or practice, because people are coming wanting to see some, and hear some good quality gospel music. So I appreciate that. Okay, and at the end, again, I will post a information sheet so you can get a hold of her brother, Larry, if you're gifted in that area, play an instrument, do songs and all that. Now, Rebecca, you said your grandchildren sing. Now, I thought you mentioned something to me earlier about you write songs.
Yes, I do. I've
Okay.
written maybe about 100 songs now.
Wow, wow.
And I also have recorded several CDs.
Okay, and I understand people can get your CDs if they come to
Yeah.
your gospel thing. Yeah, I like to write songs too.
That's great.
They're probably not as good as your songs, but they're still fun. It's a fun experience to write songs.
Yeah, it is.
Very good. Okay, now can anybody come? I mean, I know not everybody can perform, but as far as the audience and people coming to enjoy this, can anybody show up?
Yeah, it's open to the public, and it's a non-denominational event. It's there's no admission charge, and we take a love offering in the middle of the service, and that goes back into the church for any expenses, and also to help cover gas expenses for people that are guest musicians that come out of town.
Good. Well, I think that's really very important right now with the price of gas. And if people are coming from a distance, and besides their gas expenses, they have to have their outfits, they have to bring the instruments, retune them, practice. There's a lot involved in a performance, and so that's great. I think that's reasonable. All right. Now, what has been your main goal of having your meeting?
Well, the main goal is to share the gospel through music, and to hope to have the opportunity to draw people into a saving knowledge of Jesus Christ. And we've had that happen. There was a gal that is very gifted with the violin, and she heard about our venue, and she came to check it out and ended up being in our house band. But she received the Lord, and her husband too, and so they've been members of the Fourth Plain Church of the Nazarene for years now, and a vital part of our house band.
Wow, that's really rewarding. Anything else? Any other stories about that?
Well, there was a man we found out from his wife. He would come to hear us sing, and we found out that he was terminally ill. And on one of the evenings of our country gospel sing, my brother offered a invitation for anyone who wanted to pray and receive the Lord, and he did. And he just went out of there rejoicing and victorious, and he did pass away a few months later, but he went on to heaven.
Good, good. Well, it sounds like things are really moving along for you. You got a nice start, a good group coming in, and then, of course, we all had COVID hit. So how did that affect your meeting and everything?
Well, we were closed down for a little over 2 years, and then when we started back up again, we started on a Friday rather than a Sunday, how it used to be. And so it took time for the word to get out again that we were even up and going again, plus a different night of the week.
Okay. Well, and I think that accommodates people that are involved in their churches on Sunday. I think this may be a better. I think there's been a few blessings from COVID, you know, but this might be one of them that they can still participate in church. And then on a Friday night, you know, before the weekend, and they don't have to get up early the next morning on Saturday.
True.
So it probably, you know, works pretty well. And again, they meet first Friday of every month from 6:30 to 8. And it's on 4th Plain. It's 4th Plain Church of the Nazarene. Is that right? Okay, and we'll post the address again. It's 16807 Northeast 4th Plain Road in Vancouver. Okay, now let's talk a little bit more about the volunteering. Do you ever need volunteers for your house band? I know you need them for performers.
Well, we're pretty full on the house band, but it never hurts to give someone the opportunity to volunteer and see if that fits.
Okay.
And then as far as volunteers go, we always welcome volunteers. And again, we just ask that you're gifted in that area.
Okay. And then are there extra practice times? Or I mean, they wouldn't just show up that night. But then what do they need to do? Or are there, you know, practice sessions or what?
Yeah. Like I was saying earlier, we practice the last Tuesday before the first Friday of the month.
Okay.
So whatever Tuesday falls before that first Friday.
Okay.
And we usually meet around 5:30 or 6, anywhere in there, and then we stay till after 8 o'clock. And what they would need to do is contact my brother with that phone number we gave, which was 360-254-0628, and just tell them that they're interested, and bring the words to your song, the lyrics, with the chords, the chord changes above your words, and enough copies for the house band, which is about 7. And then the band would be glad to play along with your song if you would like the band to accompany you. Or if you have your own instruments and don't need the band to accompany you, you could still do that.
Right. And then again, I think you prefer that they're accompanied by your house band rather than a tract.
Right, yeah, we would appreciate more live music rather than the tracks, but once in a while, some people will bring one.
Okay, well that's good for all these musicians to know that, because so much is done with electronic music and things these days.
Yeah.
You know, so for people that like to watch the real instruments being played, that's good you still do that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now what about afterwards? Do people ever get together and go out to eat afterwards or anything?
Sometimes a little handful of us will go to Burgerville, which is just down the corner, or to the Taco Bell, and that's about it. But we've made some really good friends through it, so we kind of chum around.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. Well, I imagine it's nice because you have a lot in common. I mean, you have, you know, your belief in common, but you also have, you know, the type of music you like in common. So that's really good. Okay, well, thank you so much, Rebecca, for coming. Again, this is Rebecca Shevchuk, and she sings and was one of the incorporated in the original founders of this. And we didn't talk about your family. We weren't able to get the photos of her family, but you had your parents were involved in this. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, my dad was one of 12 siblings, and they were all musical, and they all just played by ear, never having any lessons at all. And they were really good, and they had a little band when they were young called the Montana Kids.
Oh,
and they lived in Montana at that time. And my brother Larry, he was just really taken in by the country western heritage in our family. And so he's the one that really gravitated toward country. And my other brother and I kind of followed along about midlife. We weren't really into country music, but you know, your heritage has a way of catching up with you.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I know. I write a lot of Irish, you know, Celtic stuff and all that. So anyway, okay, well, thanks for being our guest. So if any of you are kind of tired of being shut in and would like to get out for some good country gospel music and fellowship, you might consider the Vancouver Country Gospel Sing or Vancouver Gospel Cowboy Church. And again, we will post the information here, so you might get a pencil and paper and write it down, and we'll show you that now. So welcome, and you want to personally invite them to your church?
Yes, we would love for new people to come. We have some people that come from Oregon over to Washington, and we would love to have you. And the address is 16807 Northeast 4th Plain Road, Vancouver, Washington, and that's 4th Plain Church of the Nazarene. We hope to see you there.
And I forgot to mention, too, it's real important when you Google this to realize that there are cowboy churches all over the place. There's some in Oregon. There's some in Washington. In fact, I talked to the pastor at the Battleground Cowboy Church this morning, and they meet once a week at 10 o'clock. So you can kind of pick and choose where you want to go, if you want some of this more often or once a month on a Friday night. So anyway, have at it. Hope to see you at one of these. Thanks for joining us today.